According to some, she abandoned him. As an explanation, he claims that his ex-wife abandoned him for a long time. Up until this point, Doug Weiss has remained mum regarding Marcus Lamb's true cause of death. However, he has now discovered the shocking truth. Why does Doug feel the need to tell you this now, and what has he been hiding from you? Christians are taken aback by his remarks, which have caused more issues than they have resolved. What really happened to Marcus? And what did Doug say that caught everyone off guard? Truth can change everything, and these new details will have a huge impact on Joni Lamb. The death of Marcus Lamb has caused the Lamb family to split apart. What does Doug Weiss know about this? Be sure to tune in to find out. Reports of Marcus Lamb's death as the creator of Daystar television network shocked the entire world. For a long time, Christian media used Marcus and Joni as their faces. Daystar, their network, rose to prominence as a leading Christian media outlet globally. On the other hand, news broke shortly after Marcus's unexpected death from COVID-19 complications. Although COVID-19 was officially listed as the cause of death, some suspected foul play. Marcus supposedly had a long history of illness before succumbing to the virus, according to the rumors. Speculation circulated that he had been secretly battling additional illnesses, perhaps related to his heart, which he was attempting to conceal from the public eye. In contrast to his seemingly healthy and active public persona, rumors circulated that he was secretly battling his addiction. A lot of people didn't think a powerful and famous person could be hiding their problems from the public. Concerns regarding his well-being were exacerbated by whispers regarding the collaboration within the Lamb family. It was believed by some that Marcus's demise was more complicated than it appeared. Did family members argue? Could he have gotten worse so fast because of issues in his marriage to Joni? The external stresses brought on by Daystar's meteoric rise may have even taken a toll on his health, according to some theories. The public and his family had little time to prepare for Marcus's sudden death. Why was he killed so suddenly? Everybody was wondering that. Some speculated that there was more going on behind the scenes, such as unspoken issues with family, money, or health. The Lamb family's relative silence following Marcus's death only served to heighten suspicions that they were trying to cover up the circumstances of his death. While Joni and her family maintained a respectful silence, people couldn't help but speculate. The strangeness of things was intensified with each new piece of information, regardless of its size. Were additional details being withheld from the public in addition to the official version of Marcus's death? People are starting to wonder if we will ever find out the truth behind the famous media mogul's unexpected demise, as more and more stories circulate regarding it. Here we are in Texas, where the contentious chief executive officer of a Christian television network, Marcus Lamb, has passed away following a battle with the COVID-19 virus. The conservative televangelist gained notoriety last year when his Daystar network airtime was generously provided to organizations and individuals opposed to vaccinations and lockdowns. Reporter Maura Barrett of NBC News has the details. A broadcaster named Marcus Lamb publicly opposed the COVID-19 vaccine in front of an audience of hundreds of millions of people across the globe. Tragically, he lost his battle with the virus that he had so frequently propagated misinformation about on his network, a powerhouse among evangelical Christians nationwide. When his wife broke the news of his death to everyone at 4 a.m. on Tuesday, she said, "They're giving shots to people whose immune systems are already weak." In addition to being the one I loved most in the world, he founded and served as president of Daystar. Marcus Lamb's work contained numerous excellent elements. Daystar Television Network was an idea he had in 1993. It grew into a global powerhouse among Christian television networks. His desire to share the gospel was evident in all that he did, beginning with his time in church and continuing through his role in Daystar's meteoric climb to fame. Marcus gained notoriety as an engaging leader with the ability to relate to individuals from every corner of the globe. His ability to unite Christians around faith, family, and service earned him their adoration and respect. Daystar would not have been possible without Marcus's wife, Joni Lamb. In addition to being his wife, Joni was also his business partner. They put in a lot of time and effort to make Daystar what it is today because they both wanted to share a message of love and hope. The impact that Joni had on the network's success is undeniable. She was the public face of numerous programs and a constant source of motivation and wisdom for her audience. Their partnership was an inspiration to many, and they frequently collaborated on projects for both their personal and professional lives. Their marriage was held in high regard as a model of Christian values, and their love for one another appeared to deepen with each passing year. Whether it was on Daystar or social media, they frequently opened up to people about their lives, sharing their faith, struggles, and triumphs. Because of their unwavering commitment to God, unity in purpose, and love for one another and their ministry, many saw the Lambs as the model Christian couple. At first, their busy schedules from leading such a large church made it difficult for them to be together. There were whispers of tension and stress behind the scenes, despite their united and peaceful public personas. The strain of running Daystar and coping with the public eye is taking its toll on their marriage. Some felt their relationship was suffering due to the strain of trying to balance work, family, and church. Even the most resilient relationships can be challenged by the passage of time and external factors, though Marcus and Joni maintained a resolute front throughout. Due to their deep love for one another, they sacrificed much for the sake of the church they founded together. We are going to open up about our feelings with you today, which makes this show extra special. So to begin, I just want you to know how strong you and I are. I truly believe our marriage is stronger now than it has ever been before. You are an angel, and my love for you is profound. You mean the world to me. However, there is something I must convey to you. A few years ago, when my marriage to Marcus was experiencing some difficulties, I learned that he had an emotional connection with someone which had developed into something unhealthy. Joni Lamb and her family were once portrayed as the epitome of Christian unity, but their actions betrayed them and infuriated Doug. For a long time, they were the public faces of Daystar TV. This thriving ministry was started from scratch by Marcus and Joni. They collaborated tirelessly to teach the lesson of love and faith to millions of people all over the globe. Behind closed doors, they appeared strong, committed, and united, but in public, things were beginning to unravel. The Lamb family's problems were becoming impossible to ignore. It took time to start a family. As it expanded, Daystar encountered increasing levels of stress. Marcus and Joni's once strong marriage began to experience significant strain. The pressures of managing a worldwide television network started to take a toll on them, and their work life started to dominate their personal lives. The strain of maintaining a flawless family image, the incessant demands of work, and the unending scrutiny from the public began to erode their bond. When Joni's decisions began to cause strife within the family and in her relationship with Marcus, the situation deteriorated rapidly. When something is burning slowly, people don't realize it's getting worse until it's happened. As a boss, Joni had some relatives who were concerned about her management of Daystar. Her focus shifted from the family to the advancement of the network, and she became increasingly authoritarian. Serving others was now secondary. Strength, control, and power were the key concepts. One of the first to notice Joni's transformation was Doug Weiss, a longtime business partner and friend of the family. Even though Doug and the Lambs had been close for a long time, he felt increasingly distant from Joni as her behavior deteriorated. Doug couldn't help but notice the increasing tension in Joni's leadership style. Even though he thought Marcus and Joni had always done a good job. She was using other people's weaknesses as leverage to further her control over Daystar and the family business, which irritated him. When Joni made some decisions that Doug disagreed with, the rift between them widened. She was accused of having questionable financial practices and prioritizing the expansion of Daystar over the well-being of her own family. Doug was noticeably more reserved than usual, but he could sense the tension mounting. Joni was isolating herself from those who had previously guided her decision-making, and he could see it. A tense atmosphere prevailed, with everyone appearing on edge as the once tight family bond began to crumble. Seeing Joni act badly made Doug angrier with her. How she could be so focused on her corporate empire and oblivious to the toll it was taking on her family baffled him. He began to question her motivations for her actions. Perhaps her actions stemmed from an underlying desire for power and control, he pondered. The truth was staring him in the face. The family was falling apart due to Joni's decisions. No, tension ran through the room, not just Doug. As Joni became increasingly authoritarian about everything, other members of the Lamb family also began to distance themselves. In addition, as his health deteriorated, Marcus appeared to withdraw from everyone and everything. Joni herself never acknowledged that the stress that Marcus endured as a result of her actions was the root cause of his deteriorating mental and physical health. Anger reached a peak for Doug as the family began to quarrel. After years of being disrespected and disregarded at work, he decided he couldn't take it anymore and left the family business. He could not stand by while Joni ruined all their hard work. Despite the pain of severing links with a family he had adopted as his own, he made the difficult decision to distance himself from the Lambs as his annoyance escalated into rage. His wrath against Joni was palpable. He could no longer turn a blind eye to the damage she was causing, and he blamed her for the family's disintegration. After discovering that Joni had made significant decisions without informing anyone in the family, not even Marcus, Doug finally snapped. Doug felt she overstepped her bounds this time, behaving as if no one else had a say in the matter and showing complete indifference to their opinions. To him, this constituted the height of dishonesty. Values of family, trust, and respect supplanted commercial considerations. Joni had done something wrong, and Doug was done with her. When the family's problems reached a breaking point, the Lambs' carefully constructed public persona began to crumble. Everyone in the family followed Doug's lead and pulled away. As Joni gained more mastery over her actions, everyone had to deal with the fallout. We all remember a time when the family was closer, but it seems like a distant memory now. Instead was an unhealthy, dysfunctional relationship that could not be repaired. Aside from the irreparable damage to her relationship with Doug, Joni's acts also damaged her relationships with her children and other relatives. Even though everyone still thought the Lambs were wonderful, the gaps began to widen when they weren't there. A piece of the puzzle, Doug's wrath toward Joni, was a defining moment in the disintegration of a once close-knit family. Despite their newfound strength, the Lambs sacrificed something even more precious: their bond. Did you hear that? More than one national reporter has been presented with all the evidence. The evidence has been presented to Julie Roy, and she is currently working on a story that is set to be published soon. They are expected to begin discussing stories that will be featured in the news soon, this afternoon. We had no idea this would be our life. After months of pleading with God, we finally had to follow his lead. Can you imagine if he were to say, "Wow, I find it more difficult to say, you have to speak." He gave us an order and we had to follow it. Getting out of there would have been a breeze. Despite the difficulties, he has guided us and brought us great peace. A word of encouragement. Even in the midst of ugliness and confusion, God sees the broader view. Following him, standing firm for what is right, and speaking the truth will lead us to safety. Undoubtedly, he will. But please pray for us, because even with all that, it has been a hard journey. Understood, I'm grateful. It has been a challenging journey, but we have remained faithful to God's will. Take a look at all the evidence that is coming out. God has taught us a lot through the trials and tribulations of the past few years. I implore you to consider the evidence in addition to your intuition or what you have heard. God commanded us to have it for that reason. It has been a difficult journey, but God will reveal all things at the end. When others voiced their disagreement with the way Marcus Lamb's family, particularly Joni Lamb, was dealing with the loss, things became heated. There was a lot of animosity in the family because of Joni's treatment of Daystar following Marcus's death. Quickly assuming control of the network without frequently consulting with her family, Joni was clearly making her mark. Some even went so far as to say that she was making decisions without asking the people who had been by her and Marcus's side for a long time, including her children and other close relatives. There were mounting indications that Joni's actions were motivated by more than just sadness. She yearned for dominion and control over Daystar. The family was greatly affected by this. The rumors regarding Joni's leadership abilities only escalated when she chose to wed Doug Weiss, a man who had recently divorced his wife